Happy Monday. I hope this finds you doing better than average tonight. Obviously, I hope this finds you doing well, but I am very aware of our circumstances, and I do know that a lot of people are struggling with a lot of things. So I am hoping for better than average. Tonight, I wanted to dive into a topic that I've received a lot of questions about and has been a very, very hot topic. Some people for them very personally and professionally, others just for how much the media is really talking about it. I wanted to talk about unemployment and then obviously specifically how that is impacting real estate and more importantly, kind of our projections of how it's going to impact real estate. In the last 2 weeks, about 10 million Americans have filed for unemployment, meaning that 10 million Americans have lost their jobs. That is an astronomical number, and no matter what I say throughout the rest of this video, I do want to acknowledge that. I do know that there are a lot of people right now that are struggling at an employment level. So as I talk about optimism in our markets and stuff like that, I don't want to be disrespectful of that. The piece that I do want to touch on very, very briefly before I talk about the impacts on real estate is just a little bit of what I talked about last week with regards to some of the articles in the media, is that this particular rate of unemployment, this particular piece is part of a very big planned, organized shutdown of our economy. The idea being is that if we can keep these companies afloat with a lot of government support for the people that are losing their jobs, then the companies have a much higher likelihood of coming back, bringing their employees back who have been having some level of government support throughout that time, and it will give everyone the ability to try and bounce back better. Now, I'm not dumb. I do know that there are companies that will not survive this. That is absolutely a given, and I'm very, I don't know if upset's even the right word. I feel terrible for the companies that aren't going to survive the magnitude of this economic downturn. But that is part of the truth, is that some of them won't be able to bounce back no matter how much government support. And our thoughts go out to those people because they're going to be dealing with more turmoil than some of the others. But for the rest, this is a planned way of hoping to get through this. And we have to have some confidence in that. We've tried it other ways before in the past, and it hasn't worked quite as well. So this is what we're looking to do with the government support, and hopefully we'll be doing well with that. Now, in terms of how this has an impact on real estate, first questions first. Does this have an impact on real estate? Absolutely. You don't need a real estate advisor to tell you that. You're smart people. We've already seen some level of impact. There were people that were under contract to buy homes that have had to back out of those contracts because they could no longer get financing. There were people that were actively searching for homes, kind of in hopes of becoming either homeowners or moving up to a new home or something of the sort, who lost a job and no longer had the ability to secure financing. So they put their searches on hold until they could figure out their own personal next steps within their livelihood. So automatically we've seen an impact, and we know that there's going to continue to be an impact. But the thing that I wanted to talk about, two couple topics come to mind. First and foremost, if we go back and we track historical trends, because that's what we have to go back to track on, there hasn't always been a consistent relationship between a rising unemployment rate and home sales. So for example, if I go back and I tracked certain trends throughout history, going back to 1992 to 1993, at that point in time, we saw that unemployment was on the rise. And yet at that time, home sales, the number of sales, the number of transactions were also increasing, which is a little bit unusual as you might think. Fast forward to 2001, obviously we're all very aware of what happened at the end of 2001 or 3/4 of the way through the year. 2001, 2002, and 2003, we saw that similar trend in which unemployment was on the rise and yet home sales were on the rise too. Now then, if we fast forward to the housing crisis and the Great Recession of 2007 through 2010, unemployment was definitely on the rise then, yet we saw home sales significantly decrease during that time. And then now fast forward to the time period leading up to now, 2015 to 2019, once again, the unemployment rate was actually falling, but home sales were relatively flat. Now, I don't want to bore you too much with the actual data on that, and if anyone has specific questions, I'm happy to kind of point them in some directions and show them some of the data I'm looking at. But the long and short of it is that there's not a direct correlation between the two, at least not one that we've seen consistently. So I think that's something that we have to be very much aware of. The other thing that I think we have to keep in mind is that comparing this to past economic turmoils, crisis, for whatever the reason being, what we've seen in the past is that typically companies will essentially hold on and try and keep their employees as long as possible. Then what we're seeing, unfortunately, is as they're keeping their employees, if their economy is not getting better, the employees are essentially the part that's draining these companies dry because they don't have the money coming in that they need. So what we've actually seen in past recessions and past depressions is that these companies hold on to these people for so long, and then they continually have to lay off and continually have to lay off. And so that the time period of the layoffs is actually elongated over 2, 3, 4 years, while meanwhile the companies have lost quite a bit of footing. Now, in this instance, kind of taking a little bit of a different and a more strategic approach, the idea is stop the hemorrhaging. The numbers are going to seem excessively bad up front. Give them the support, and then let's let these companies thrive, or maybe thrive's the wrong word. Edit, take out, not thrive. Let these companies stay alive. And then hopefully most economists are still saying that they're expecting this to be a relatively rapid recovery in which all these companies that can survive are going to bring these employees back. Now, if we can get these employees back and get them working, those ones that put home sales on their home purchases on hold are now going to be back into a position that gives them the opportunity to do so. So the bottom line of all of this is that, yes, we know that there is going to be challenges this year. We know that housing will have impact because of unemployment. That's a no-brainer. But we have confidence that it's not going to totally derail the unemployment with where it's at is not going to totally derail our entire housing industry for the year. And we're seeing that as the fact that we're still out there and we still have people kind of calling in and talking about it, and it's still moving in as I keep saying, a capacity that's probably much larger than people would think it is today. So I know there's a lot of questions that can stem out of this, and I definitely wanted to give people an opportunity to reach out to me, ask me questions on this specifically, because it's a topic that's hard to get into a short amount of time. So if you have specific questions on this, please let me know. If you have questions that you'd like me to discuss one evening, I'm getting a lot of emails from people, which I always appreciate. I'm happy to try and dive in and talk about topics to answer for you too. And on that note, so I don't get any longer, be kind. Be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of one another. Remember to just give a huge shout out to all of the people that are out there keeping our world afloat, to the medical personnel, to the gas station attendant, to the people in the grocery store, everyone that are out there fighting the good fight to keep us moving in the right direction, to keep food on our tables, to keep our loved ones healthy and alive. Big kudos to all of you. I am looking forward to getting through this with all of you, and I will see you tomorrow night.